Welcome to day 15 of the Brew Crew podcast Advent Calendar Spectacular. I am, of course, your host for this episode, Matt. And I'd be remiss, I'm not going to get to anything else off the top. It's important, it's imperative, and I implore you to go check out episode 166 of the mothership that is the Brew Crew podcast. We finally got to day 14 and AleSmith 2011 Decadence. It truly was a sight to behold. I think it helped that we had a bunch of days in a row that were less memorable, but then we got to do that beer long form, and then we really put a question mark, ampersand, exclamation point with our second beer, because during our normal podcast we do two beers at the conclusion of that beer. And boy, was it a joy. It was a hefty episode. It was over 90 minutes, but it's worth the enjoyment. We were joined, of course, by my normal cohort and the better end of this podcast, JT, but Chuggalos Phil and Chuggalos Stev, and the four of us just had an energy. We were in JT's yet-to-be-named for sure bar. It was just magic. So it was magic in the beer, magic in the company, magic in the location, and again, the second beer that we had, again, two beers in that episode, left a lot more questions, ampersand, exclamation point, than it did answers. Excellent. So on this episode, we're back to the box, day 15. We're on our second Pipeworks, the second of three offerings that we have during these 24 days. And this is Pipeworks Curious Visitor. It comes in a draft. And this is 4.5%. And to hold up my end of the bargain, I've got the Starship Enterprise opener. So no artwork on this one, so I don't know what JT is going to talk about for about 5 or 6 minutes of his, but they seem to do well, him and Chuggalos Phil, when they do it together. Throwing it in the coos. I'm excited for this. Don't get me wrong, the barley wine was delightful. I'm glad that we're going to get into a couple of sours here, and especially from Pipeworks. The funny thing about Pipeworks is that back in 2018, when we started this podcast, when it was called the BCP, but a different form of it, our first beer that we did was Pipeworks. The first day of this calendar was, the second day was Pipeworks. But I was thinking about, I was looking back, we've never gone and done anything about their website. So normally it's, nameofbrewer.com. This one changes up the narrative a little bit. This is pdubs.net. So if you like Pipeworks, they're out of Chicago, Illinois. They do a lot of creative, their can art is what draws you in for sure. And then they have a quality and an imaginative product. So Pipeworks started in 2012, and if you go to their website at pdubs.net, there's not much about them. It's just, hey, we started in 2012. We wanted to do something craft, quality, and imaginative. And if you go and look at any of their artwork, day 2 of this Advent calendar, and then we have another one coming up. It's just so colorful and cartoonish, but like with sharp lines, not rounded lines. This is a delightful and fresh. This might be the second best sour that we've had thus far on the podcast. We talked about that yesterday. We talked about our highlights so much of the first 14 days, the first 2 weeks of the calendar. And going around, there was a lot of groupthink at the table, but one that everyone agreed upon, and there was two people at the table that aren't sour drinkers, was day 4 in that Trip Animals Morning Coladita out of Miami. Was a sight to behold, because there were 6 unique flavors that all came together in a sour, and you just don't see that very much. Usually there's something off-putting, or they nail like 1, 2, or 3 ingredients. That one had 6, and they all definitely had a place. This sour is very fresh, like almost like a pop of some sort, not like a Fresca, but like in that same like grapefruity. I didn't look up anything about this beer because I still wanted to be just taken with it. So I am unaware And usually I come prepared, but I'm unaware of what is actually in this beer. But I would say like a citrus freshness, not sour in the refreshing sense, but not off-putting and not too, like I wish I had a 6-pack of these. I may have to look up where I can get that. Silence is good, right? Yuzu ginger. There we go. Very much ginger. Yuzu ginger. Yeah, so like, I guess, a Fresca isn't too far off. It's just something grapefruit ginger. Gosh, like a sour ginger ale. Fantastic. This is awesome. Off the top rope, man, is this better than the Morning Clarita? God, it's right there. Off the top rope, 475. This is excellent. This is crushable. It's hardly ever that sours are crushable because they kill the palate and they tighten up that lower jaw, that connective tissue. This is fantastic. I wish I had more of these. I would drink 4 or 5 right now. And at 4.5%, it's not too hateful, where you would be feeling it. But again, like a sweet tart, esque a little bit, like just a sharp freshness. Amazing. This is, gosh. Again, I said yesterday, and maybe incorrectly, that with the Decadence, that was going to be my selection for like the top of the mountain of this Advent calendar. This is right there. Decadence 2011 was a sight to behold. This could hold its own. Definitely, it's up there for best in show as far as sours for the calendar. This is awesome. This is going to be a polarizing beer. This is not an entry sour by any means. It is powerful in that ginger. I couldn't place it. Obviously, as you guys all saw happen in real time. I wish it could have. But like just that freshness and that snap. And ginger, with ginger snaps and everything, is a great time of year for this beer because that ginger plays well in my mind into the holiday season. But so a few days left of this. Sorry, Stacy. But this is a slight sight to behold. Again, didn't use my hands as much as podcast, but I'm going to get into it in this episode. But yeah, Pipeworks Curious Visitor. High recommend. Off the top rope, 475. Especially if you like the ginger. Cheers.